if you're practicing mindfulness, if you're really good at it and you're doing it correctly, like the Buddha said to do, if you're noting, if there's a sound and your noting is really sharp, you'll note hearing, but you won't know what you heard. If your mindfulness is a little less sharp, you'll know what you heard. If it's a little less sharp than that, you'll like it or not like it. No, you'll identify what it is you heard. Oh, that was a siren. And if your mindfulness is less sharp, you'll like it or dislike it or have a neutral feeling towards the siren. And if it's less sharp than that, you'll think about sirens you knew in the past and why you don't like sirens. And that one's louder than most of them normally are. I wonder whether that was a fire engine or a ambulance or a police car. So if you catch it really right at the beginning, you won't know what it is. You'll hear, but you won't identify what you heard. If you're a little slower, you'll identify what you heard. And so far, you haven't created any karma. When you get into like and dislike of what you heard, then you start creating karma. You know, if you like that sound, or you do, oh, I don't like that sound, that's disturbing me, or something like that, then you're into aversion, or I love that sound, then you're into lust. And then you're making karma. But prior to that, you're not. And I've seen a couple of references to where they say if you catch it really early without any reaction or anything, they compare it, they say you're close to Nibbana. And the reason is you won't suffer. Prior to liking or disliking it, you won't suffer. You know, if you like it, you suffer because you can't have it or it goes away or something like that. If you don't like it, you suffer because you're angry and you wish it would go away, that kind of stuff. But prior to that, you don't make any karma. And they say that you're close to Nibbana. And the reason is that you're not suffering. You're just mindfully experiencing without judging or reflecting or anything like that. I think it's kind of a stretch to call it close to Nibbana, but I mean, Nibbana is way better than that. Well, but I see why they say it. Because there's no painful response. It's just mindfulness, hearing, and then but you continue, you see it pass away, and then you note the next thing. Hearing, itching, scratching, breathing in, breathing out, left, right, whatever you're doing. And I think I talked about this like 2 weeks ago or something, where, like when I walk in the morning, for some reason, my mindfulness is really good when I walk outdoors. And I'm just noting, left, right, looking out, looking back, walking, looking out, up, looking down, looking back, walking left, right. And there's no proliferation involved. So to go back to the mindfulness, the quicker you are, the better it is. The sooner you catch the arising, the sooner after the arising that you catch whatever it is, hearing, seeing, thinking, the better. And the more suffering you save yourself.
We all have to stay on top of our mindfulness practice.
I'm being mindful so much. I'm retired and I live alone in a quiet place. So, that gives me an advantage that others might not have, But I can't stand it when I'm not being mindful. I go, oh no, wait a minute, I can tell I don't feel good. There's some tension or anxiety or stress or something like that. And I start noting and it goes away. And it just feels better. So I'm doing a whole lot of it now. More. I'm doing more now than I have for a long time. Plus, I can just go to my room and quietly meditate for an hour anytime I want to, which I do. But just all the time, I'll find myself not, the main thing is you forget to do it. And, I'll be doing something and feeling and I go, oops, yeah, I forgot to be mindful while I'm doing this. And then I start being mindful. Instead of thinking while I'm cooking, I'm noting, the touch of the knife in my hand, or I'm hearing the chopping block when I'm chopping, or, lifting the pan and putting it on the stove and looking at the dial and turning the dial on the stove. And, and it just makes life way more better. And Mahasi says in this book that I'm reading now, another Mahasi book, little one, they call that being close to Nibbana. You're not in cessation, you're not completely blanked out, but you're not suffering either, because your mindfulness is so sharp that you don't go into the stage of cognition where suffering arises. Anyways, I thought it was really good explanation. It's really hard to read. It's kind of not a great translation. And every sentence is loaded with, significance and meaning. And it's just, challenging. I can only read like about 3 or 4 pages at a time. But
so with that kind of mindfulness that you're describing, then there's no proliferation of thought or emotions. And that's where the suffering and the distortion comes in. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you catch it and note it really early on, you don't get to that stage of cognition where you basically where you start reflecting on what you heard or saw.
Or daydreaming, or,
Yeah.
yes, thinking about the past or the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, now that I'm really, I read that and I'm being very mindful and I'm focusing on it more, I'm really noticing, wow, yeah, that is really a relief. I mean, you just feel better. And for people that are stressed or have high anxiety or something like that, I mean, almost all mental problems are poor mind management.